This video has been brought to you today by my inability to beat the fire giant in Elden Ring and my boredom. So here you go. Hope you like it, guys.
Let's go. Bitch my hoes, 100 round bitch my clothes, 100 round bitch my pole, 100 round bitch my dough. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. Taking these, 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 taking these.
At the onset of the series, Shigeo Kageyama is a shy, nervous youth with an inability to express himself and relate to the world around him, which is rather strange for someone with such incredible abilities. He's actually an Esper, the strongest Esper in the whole show. And it's funny that with all the supernatural ability, psychic ability at that, he's unable to connect with others around him. Even his brother feels alienated by him and feels like he doesn't really know him as a person. It isn't until his brother develops his own abilities that they're able to relate and understand each other a little bit better. And it's so interesting because everyone that Shigeo runs into, or Mob, sorry, that's his nickname, everyone that he runs into going forward is so astonished and surprised at his abilities and power, and sometimes they try to grab it for themselves or get it for themselves, only for them to realize that that's not even what he's worried about. And he goes along throughout this show to teach a big lesson at almost everyone he encounters, that power isn't the biggest thing, or rather that thing that you were searching for usually isn't what you're actually looking for. I believe the mangaka One, or Tomohiro as he's called, does a great job of developing characters in a unique way that only he can. He creates these pseudo problems where those aren't really the real problems. The real problems are always internal, and the external conflict isn't really that big of a deal. But as a viewer, you need to sit and reflect in order to be able to understand that this is not the issue that he's pointing towards. He's pointing towards a usually more abstract yet bigger issue. For Mob, it's like, oh, I have all the power in the world. He's basically the god of his world, yet he doesn't know how to relate to people, and he's not popular, and the girl that he's crushing on doesn't even notice him. So those are bigger problems to him than anything that any psychic issue could ever face. And it's interesting to note that at the beginning of the series, his Master Reagan, who actually isn't a psychic at all, tells him that he should never use his psychic powers to hurt others or for his own personal gain. Mob then runs into many characters who have learned to use their psychic powers in another way, or in the wrong way, in a negative way, morally, and he basically wipes the floor with them. Well, unintentionally. He's actually somewhat of a pacifist. He tries his best not to fight, but when pushed to the edge, his true nature, his true powers come out, and that's when we get some real deal shown in action and graphics as well. Thank you, Mob Psycho 100, for those graphics. However, it shows us that no matter how strong you may think you are, there always will be someone stronger. And even for Mob, who's technically the strongest, his biggest and strongest enemy is himself, because he doesn't understand himself, and he goes out of control because he can't control his own powers, because he has no control over his emotions. So we've seen that he's almost a sociopath in a sense, with this extreme stoicism where he can't express emotions because he's afraid of his powers going out of whack. And it's just beautiful to see how everyone around Mob gets changed, even from the evil spirits, Ghost and Dimple, or Keiji Mogami, who was the evil spirit, the most powerful evil spirit that Mob ever faced, who was also the most powerful Esper of the 20th century. He then died and became an evil spirit, and it's a long story, but even someone as powerful as him was able to be changed by Mob and was able to, give up haunting the human realm. And then you also have the leader of the Claw, Toichiro Suzuki, who actually was the only one that I say might have been on par with Mob at 100%, not the same as his question mark percent. If you watch Mob Psycho, you know what I'm talking about. They're two different things and they can't be equated, but he was actually able to give Mob a run for his money at 100% because they had the same abilities of being able to transfer and transmute psychic energy. However, he still lost because of his flaws on the inside, where he wasn't able to rely on others. Something as simple and childish as, working as a team and relying on others, he never was able to do that. So that's something that Mob had over him. Mob was able to depend on others and trust others to help him and win battles. And yeah, it sounds kind of childish, but it is a very important lesson to learn, and he did learn that lesson before he lost that battle. It's just beautiful to see Mob's growth and matriculation throughout the show. At first he doesn't really say many words. He just exercises the spirits. He does what Master Reagan tells him. Even what Dimple tells him, he's just easily manipulated. But then as time goes on, he starts to gain his own sense of self-worth and wants to make his own decisions about life and how the world should be. He's not going to just let anything tell him what he can and can't be or how things should be. So he's not as easily manipulated, and he's not as easily controlled by outside events and his environment. To bring it all full circle, I believe that the mangaka 1 is an expert storyteller that knows how to really develop characters with double entendres of meaning, where even with Saitama and One Punch Man, he's the strongest, but he still has an opponent that he's facing all the time that he still hasn't beat, which is himself. And even with Mob, yes, he's the strongest psychic, but he has so many other facets and sections of life that he hasn't checked through. That's kind of like, it renders his psychic ability useless in a sense, because he can't use that to get a girl, or he doesn't know how to, and he can't use that to ace his grades. He has an F in every other category of life. He's not smart. That's why he actually joins the body improvement club, to get stronger, because he's not smart, he's not strong. He runs for president because he wants to be more popular. So it's just so many things that he's still trying to check off his list. I think 1 does a beautiful depiction of that just throughout the manga and throughout the show. And all in all, I do believe that all of us can learn a lot from Mob, and we all relate to Mob in some way, because sometimes what we think our problems are not our problems. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes, most of the time, the answers to our external problems are internal, and they're found within. Alright guys, that was the video. Don't want to talk you guys heads off too long. Wish me luck on defeating this fire giant in Elden Ring. But other than that, I hope you found this video very likable. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, find your Zen, your final form. I'll see you next time, guys.